Modern college student Pan Yuan traveled through time and accidentally killed an old man when he fell from the sky at the beginning. However, he was mistakenly recognized by the Demon Sect Sect as the reincarnated ancestor and welcomed back. Pan Yuan, who had become the Blood Demon Ancestor as soon as he landed, felt a panic in his heart. But in order to conceal the fact that his true ancestor had been accidentally smashed to death by him long ago, it is appropriate for him as a demon lord. But what should he do if he forces college students without spiritual roots, cultivation, and golden fingers? After much thought, Pan Yuan came up with the most simple and unadorned way. Others cultivate immortality and exercise, while others gnaw on immortal grass and eat eggs. He does 100 sets of push-ups every day, and his main focus is on being simple and unadorned. As a result, while practicing, Pan Yuan discovered, wait a moment, has he become a different kind of saint? This article, also known as, Am I a Fist Superman in the Mysterious World? Me, Egg-Forged Body True Lord. Protein Holy Body. My ancestor has become stronger again, but he is also more bald. Chapter 1. Blood Demon Ancestor. Who? Me. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 2 Pan Yuan. Where is my human Holy Communion? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. God Lianzi. What a terrifying sense of pressure. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. But misfortune never comes alone. In just one day, there was a rumor that the leader of the Lianzi sect, one of the major vassal demon sects mentioned by Wulong de Tsongming, the divine Lianzi, was already on his way to 100,000 mountains. It was said that he wanted to come and visit the Blood Sect ancestor in the first time, but the heart of Lianzi sect is well known to everyone. It was just out of fear that he wanted to first explore the reality of the Blood Sect. In this regard, the entire Blood Sect, especially the left and right guardians, the pair of Wulong Phoenix chicks, did not take the Lianzi sect, which had long surrendered to the demon power of their ancestor, to heart. They believed that they had welcomed back the more unfathomable ancestor who had returned from the mortal realm, and that they did not even need to step forward. With just a small finger, they could easily erase this hidden rebellious and persistent god Lianzi. But the entire Blood Sect was full of confidence, except for their ancestors who were already extremely anxious. No, we only have the last 3 days left now. Shen Lianzi was about to come knocking on his door to find him, and Pan Yuan had no time to study the issue of spiritual energy. His strong desire for survival finally forced him to make a decision that went against his ancestors. Since cultivating immortality and cultivating qi is not feasible, he will take a different path. Now that things have come to an end, he can no longer manage so much. Anyway, let's pass this level first before we talk. So Pan Yuan didn't hesitate to dismantle all the useful things such as the lamp rack and table legs in the Blood God Temple. Fortunately, before he crossed over, there was a madman roommate in the university dormitory who was trying his best to replicate a few inferior dumbbells. It was still feasible, and the combination of grief, anger, and survival desire made his eyes turn red. This was the only way he could think of so far. Others cultivate immortality while exercising. Although attempting to catch up with these cultivators through physical science fitness methods may seem unrealistic, his main focus is on being reckless. Protein. Yes, there's also protein. Exercise also requires protein. What about the people in the deadly hall? Let them all go out and search for me. I need eggs, any egg is fine. On this day, the entire Blood Sect was extremely busy. Rumors have spread that our ancestors have returned and are inexplicably fond of eating poultry eggs, but this rumor gradually evolved into, hey. Have you heard about it? Our bloodline ancestors love to eat baby humans and placenta. And it's still the kind before the full moon. However, Pan Yuan no longer cared about the rumors and gossip from the outside world. His previous college years were like a lazy dog, able to lie down and never stand. His only exercise was still at the level of going downstairs to get takeout, so he could be said to have no knowledge of fitness. But now this has become his only hope for temporary improvement. Therefore, he has no idea that he has developed an extraordinary posture far beyond the scope of ordinary people. Pan Yuan chose to start with the most basic push-ups, and every time he made it to the bottom, with endless sadness, anger, and distortion. Having become the ancestor of the Blood Sect, his spiritual energy cannot be absorbed, and his enemies who are willing to die have even approached him as a fake. All of this has become his best fuel and power. But he didn't know that it was from this moment on he has already embarked on a path that is far from the artistic style of the entire cultivation world. For a whole day, in the eyes of many people in the Blood Sect, the ancestor had already gone crazy in the Blood God Temple. I don't know what terrifying body forging method was going on, even the left and right protectors came, guarding the door without daring to disturb. Only Pan Yuan knew that he had hardly stopped for a moment, but for some reason he couldn't feel tired at all. And the weight on his body was also increasing exponentially, driven by the desire for survival, reaching an unimaginable level. Load 100 kilograms, do 500 push-ups. If someone like him were to be placed in a gym in the 21st century, there would only be 3 words to describe it. Crazy. Unfortunately, Pan Yuan had no self-awareness about it. He just practiced and it seemed like there were some shackles in his body that shattered along with his rationality. 3 days later. The Lianzi sect, known as one of the 9 evil demons in the cultivation world, has finally arrived at the Tianxi Ridge in Nanhua, and has reached this vast mountain shrouded in clouds and mist. In front of and behind, a total of 3 rainbow rays fell. Blood Sect, it's been a long time since we last met. A rainbow light led by him dissipated, and a middle-aged man dressed in a yin-yang Taoist robe and a bun stood up. He appeared to have a fairy-like demeanor, but there was a hidden evil energy between his eyebrows, giving people a sense of cunning for no reason. Compared to the man and woman behind him, he was much younger, clearly from the young talents of his Lianzi sect and also from his disciples of the divine refining sun. At the same time, the Blood God Temple. The unknown efforts and struggles of the Blood Ancestor have finally come to an end. Until the last moment, he remained in a push-up position, emitting astonishing heat all over his body, almost forming a substantial white smoke. This is a significant change brought about by a night-long, hellish intensity of self-exercise. In this mystical world surrounded by spiritual energy between flying in the air and lifting hands, only his bloodthirsty ancestor, who has used just 3 days of living training, appears so unique in terms of physique and muscles. But over the past 3 days, the most significant change in Pan Yuan's body was not his muscles, but his hair. Yes, he is bald. Perhaps due to a comprehensive imbalance of endocrine and adrenaline, he lost a lot of his short hair and began to become increasingly sparse, but also increasingly invincible. Lianzi sect has arrived. The leader of the Lianzi sect, Lianzi, along with his disciples, is seeking to meet the ancestor of the Blood Sect. Outside the Blood God Temple, the sound of a proclamation echoed through 100,000 mountains. Pan Yuan was not surprised by this at all. He knew that what should have come would come sooner or later, and he couldn't escape. So on this day, the Blood Ancestor bravely passed the level with his eye-catching Mediterranean hairstyle. Outside the gate of the Blood God Temple, the 2 guardians of the dragon and phoenix nestling have been waiting for him for a long time. As soon as Pan Yuan, the ancestor, finally appeared, a disciple of the Blood Sect immediately came up and carefully draped a majestic black-haired cloak over Pan Yuan. Then, 2 beautiful disciples from unknown places naturally leaned over, each serving a small bird obediently around him. There was even a servant beside him carrying a beautiful food plate filled with various eggs that the ancestor wanted. So, it can be said that a scene full of oppression appeared. Pan Yuan had a dark face, and he flipped his robe as if facing death, boldly walking at the forefront. However, those who followed him were all the tigers, leopards, jackals, and wolves of the Blood Sect, exuding a fierce aura. The first ones to bear the brunt are the unfathomable left protector of the South China Heavenly First Strategist with feather fans and silk scarves, as well as Zhao Dashan, the top right protector of the Blood Sect's Mangfu, who is naked in his upper body. Subsequently, there were more than 10 people, big and small, from the death-taking hall, all of whom were evil cultivators who were crawling and fighting in the world of the jungle. They followed the strong returning ancestor one by one, as if they were going to choose someone to devour. In addition, when the ancestor walked to the Blood God Temple, the Blood Sect flag was also erected on the various mountains in the distance, shrouded in clouds and mist, waving in the wind. All of this makes the entire Blood Sect look like a forbidden place where there is life to enter and no life to leave. So Lianzi, who had been guarding the entrance of the Blood Sect with his 2 disciples, waited for a long time. Suddenly, he saw only a dark cloud pressing down on the horizon. The vast and boundless 100,000 mountains were shrouded in a layer of haze, and blood flags fluttered in the wind at each peak of the black clouds. A figure slowly emerged from above the mountain. A blood-colored robe rose and fell with the wind, accompanied by beautiful women serving and attendants carrying dishes, and countless Blood Sect tigers and wolves following behind. Such a terrifying sense of pressure. Is it really the return of Blood Ancestor Hua Fan de Shang? At this moment, Lianzi, who had doubts in his heart, began to waver and feel a little apprehensive. Not to mention the 2 young disciples behind him, even though they were both from the refining heavenly sect, one of the 9 prisons of evil demons, they had never seen such a huge battle before. This Blood Ancestor truly deserves to be the first person in the magical world of Nanhuation. But if we bring them closer, they won't find it difficult to see at this moment, the ancestor Pan Yuan standing on the mountaintop was not as calm and elegant as they had imagined. He was carrying the 10-level strong wind with his face, and his facial nerves were twisted by the wind. If it weren't for practicing hard for 3 days and nights, and his physique was much stronger than when he first arrived, he would probably not be able to stand on this mountaintop now. However, even so, the Blood Sect ancestor did not show any signs on his face. As the only husky among the wolf pack, he had a dark face and stubbornly choked his neck as if facing death. Is his decisive clearance due to his confidence and confidence? Or did you have the confidence to deal with the people of the refining heavenly sect long ago? No, if possible, he would also like to hide in the Blood God Temple until the end of time. As a seasoned otaku who has read countless online novels, he understands better than anyone that the more critical a situation is, the less one can show fear. If you can't reason straight, you have to be angry. The more afraid one is, the faster they will die. Chapter 4. Live Another Day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. An Invincible Blood Ancestor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6 Pan Yuan. Is this the ultimate strike of the Third Realm? You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Blood Ancestor. Dog Egg. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 8. It's time to liquidate them, Ancestor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 9. All the Wicked, this is the Blood Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this glance, the lineup that used to be almost like crooked melons and split dates, let alone the notorious Demon Sect, is quite explosive no matter which faction it is placed in. After all, they still have a group of temporary ancestors who can't even recognize each other, whose faces are full of invincibility and hearts are full of extremely panic and anxious. Unfortunately, it was such an outrageous lineup that on this day, the most ruthless words were spoken in the entire cultivation world. The ownership of the spiritual meridian is no longer important, and whether it is explained or not is also not important. As the ancestor has said, I only want to reminisce about the past with all the 9 prisons this time. The implication is that the blood ancestor, who is lurking in the depths of 100,000 mountains, has set out in person, not to compete for territory or seek accountability, but to do one thing. Calculate after autumn. For a moment, apart from the Lianzi sect, which had already discovered the true and false nature of the Blood Sect and immediately closed down and shrank, the 7 major demon sects of Nanhua Tian each stood in half of the sky, and everyone was in danger. The torrent of tigers and wolves in the Blood Sect has long been unstoppable. However, in just 2 days, they had already left 100,000 mountains and headed straight to the hinterland of the southern barbarian cultivators. The barbarian sect ranked 3rd among the 9 evil demons, with strong strength and average physical cultivation. However, due to their rough and barbaric behavior, they were despised by the self-proclaimed orthodox cultivators in the Central Plains and were also divided into the 9 evil demons. They were also the fastest moving and most encroaching force on the land of the Blood Sect after its decline. All ordinary people, including those from Anping County and surrounding areas, were enslaved by these barbarian cultivators. During this period, the casualties were the most severe. The fool said that Zhao Yiri was killed by the barbarian cultivators. Hey! Lao Shizi's Blood Sect has long been displeased with them. If you dare to come from seeking death, then kill him and face the heavens. But hasn't it been until recently that the news of the divine refining sun came out, saying that something is not going well? Is there really great terror on the blood ancestor? What's so terrifying? Shen Lianzi, that old man, is just a weakling. I see that blood ancestor is just pretending to be a god and playing tricks on ghosts. Everyone says he has taken that step and entered the 5th realm. But isn't the 5th realm so easy to enter? You should know that the previous generation of barbarians sacrificed their loved ones' blood and even slaughtered several counties, and the resentment of thousands of souls couldn't take that step. In the barbarian land, between the curtains, the high-ranking officials of the barbarian sect gather together, unable to argue with each word you say. Only the man sitting on the top seat remained silent. He was a tall and powerful dark man wearing a human bone necklace, a 4th realm cultivator named Shamohi, who was the barbarian lord of this generation. He can never be in the 5th realm. For a long time, Shamohi finally spoke. His gaze was sinister and very determined, and as soon as he spoke, the entire tent fell silent. Because almost no one knows that thanks to the blood and flesh inheritance passed down from generation to generation by the Blood Sect, he has already reached the peak of the Sendai realm, only half a step away from the 5th realm. He has also tried several times to break the shackles that previous generations of barbarians could not break, but the results have all been failures. Now he has been suppressing his realm all the time, waiting for an opportunity to truly take that step. No matter how stunning his talent is, Blood Ancestor can never be ahead of him. In my opinion, it's similar. This time, the Blood Sect's big move is likely just for the other major demon sects to see. It's said to be a settlement, but in reality, it's just a passing act to save face. In the curtain, a long-bearded and robust barbarian old man also spoke up. This person was named Tuasha, one of the few wise figures in the barbarian sect and a cultivator in the 3rd realm. So we might as well use something to deal with it. First, give them a step down, and then they will naturally meet and accept it. They dare not force themselves to the end with us. After all, there is an old saying among the people of the Central Plains. Stay on the front line, will it be easy to meet in the future? After dealing with this situation, endure them for a while. As soon as the Lord enters the 5th realm, it will be the day when the ranking of the 9 prisons demons changes and the Blood Sect is expelled. The wise man Tuasha gently stroked his bound long beard and was very confident that the Blood Sect's grand momentum was most likely to be building momentum for the return of the Blood Ancestor. The more it creates momentum, the more it actually exposes the fact that the Blood Sect is both strong and weak. The high-level officials of the barbarian sect gathered in this tent couldn't help but laugh at Tuasha's analysis and layout. They could already imagine the scene of them sending away the people of the Blood Sect with some bones like sending a dog. Even the barbarian Lord Shamohi, who was convinced that the Blood Sect could not enter the fifth realm, tacitly agreed. He didn't think that the Blood Sect, which had been declining for many years, was just because of one person's return can we regain the fierce power that was originally ranked first among the 9 prison demons. In the next moment, the facts speak for themselves. They far underestimated what kind of existence each of the ordinary people they had injured during their previous territorial struggle was for the Blood Sect. Boom, boom, boom. An increasingly clear sense of shock began to envelop the entire barbarian tribe, and the sound of the impact was both dull and irregular. Soon, several terrifying impacts came again. This time, the high-level officials of the barbarian sect in the entire tent began to lose their composure. Not good. Uncles, Lord, outside, someone is colliding with our sect protection formation. A barbarian disciple with a pale face, as if he had seen a ghost alive, hurriedly fled in to report. The oldest wise man present, Tuasha, and most of the high-ranking figures in the tent had not yet realized the seriousness of the situation. They just set off quickly, and as a result, all of them who rushed out one after another were stunned outside the tent, their pupils trembling. Because at this moment, they seemed to have witnessed a hellish scene with their own eyes, landing in this barbaric land. On their vast formation of protecting the sect, there was a person lying on the ground. That was a seemingly insane man with an extremely terrifying third-realm cultivation, who shook the entire barbarian sect. He was like a demon crawling on the formation with his hands and feet, crazily hitting the formation with his head. The Great Patriarch Protection Formation, which could withstand the attacks of dozens of third-realm cultivators, was actually shattered by his head. Hello. And the key is, seeing the entire barbarian sect being alarmed, this unreasonable madman slowly turned his head and looked at them with an extremely penetrating grin. This person is the leader of the Blood Sect Breaking Array Hall, Bao Lin. He, who laughs foolishly all day and looks up at the sky, is the most easily overlooked hall leader in the entire Blood Sect. However, few people know that in terms of his killing power and madness and distortion, he is also the most prominent among the 6 halls of the Blood Sect. But today, there is far more than just one leader, Bao Lin, who came to this barbarian land. The barbarian Lord Shamohi, who was inside the Great Patriarch Formation, looked up and saw only the 3 realms of great cultivators. The snake-faced man wriggling rapidly on the ground, the sickly and mysterious middle-aged woman holding her chubby face, and the burly man with tendons and flesh rushing straight like a small mountain on the spot, charging ahead of the barbarian formation with his terrifying physique. Deadly Hall, Zhao Dashan. Behind this group of unreasonable lunatics, long rainbows swept across the sky, at least all of them were Blood Sect cultivators from the second realm, rushing towards them one by one as if they had gone crazy and didn't want to die. At this moment, facing these crazy people who didn't seem to be trying to reason at all, the high-ranking officials of the barbarian sect couldn't help but feel heart-wrenching. At most, what we have agreed on is just a passing game, and we must not dare to confront them to the end. You should know that their barbarian sect is still just some barbarian tribe cultivators, with exceptional physical strength and rough behavior. However, the group of people coming from the opposite side, one by one, do not look like any normal people with good mental state. But why? No one even knows why these bloodthirsty disciples, who have been suppressed for several years and should have had their claws and teeth polished long ago, have the courage to come to them. At the next moment, the answer was finally revealed. On the distant hillside, a strategist with a feather fan and a silk scarf was seen leading the way. Soon after, he respectfully made way on his side, and then an oppressive figure emerged from it. Master, here we are. Unlike the disciples of the Blood Sect who were flying everywhere or crawling around like Bao Lin, this man full of taboos only walked slowly, but the aura emanating from his body was like that of a purgatory. His every step seemed to have a unique rhythm, hitting the hearts of everyone in the Man Sect. His calm eyes, with several scars, glanced at everyone from a distance. Suppressed and suffocated, his gaze lifted the oppressive feeling brought by the entire Blood Sect disciples to a higher level. Is this the ancestor of the Blood Sect? Chapter 10 Pan Yuan. Is it still possible to run now? You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.